Question number 1. How do teachers prepare for their lesson throughout the school year? She said, as a grade 6 advisor, I prepare my lesson weekly. Now that we are in the new normal, I follow the self-learning module in preparing my daily lesson. These SLMS are based on MELC, which we execute specifically for this health crisis situation aligned with the School Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. For question number 2, do they implement what is planned for their lessons? Her idea, I do implement what is planned in my lesson. In case of unexpected circumstances, I shift the topic but not entirely. For instance, when materials are unavailable for science experiment, I use other local materials but still targeting the same objectives. For question number 3, do they modify or adjust activities according to the learner's need? Her ideas, what is planned in my lesson is the exact needs of my learners. For example, in English subject, I may state 1 or 2 passages in my lesson, but in actual, I might be using 5 passages to reiterate and achieve the mastery of the topic. So, I maximize my activities for better result. For question number 4, do they implement new curriculum too? Her idea, DepEd already created a curriculum especially for public schools and I follow this curriculum. For the last question, how do they improve their teaching and learning in the classroom? Her ideas, I have always wanted to improve the learning outcome of my pupils. First, I diagnose their needs, especially in reading. As an advocate of reading, I see to it that every pupil is a reader. Then, I introduce intervention activities to improve their reading level even in our present education. Lastly, I measure and compare their pre- and post performances. It is important to measure and evaluate the learning process to see its efficacy. As a teacher, I prepared my lesson plans by receiving and revising the old lesson plans that I had. I will make sure that all the learning competencies per subject must be included in my lesson plans throughout the school year. I can easily make my lesson plans because there's a lot of teaching guides and other tending resources to be used. Yes, I must implement what is in my lesson plan in every teaching and learning activity so that my students will acquire all the learning competencies they needed. Yes, I always do modifying the learning activities according to the needs of my students. This is very important because every learner has different learning styles and intelligences. She said that every teacher have the right or freedom to implement new curriculum too. I prepared my IMs through making PowerPoint presentations, reading materials, video lessons, and other audio and visual aids. And lastly, I always do my best and effective teaching strategies so that my students will have an effective interaction during the lesson, proper and learning activities.